to let ourselves be seen, deeply seen, vulnerably seen, to love with our whole hearts, even if there's no guarantee, to practice gratitude and joy in those moments of terror when we're wondering, can I love this much? Can I believe in this passionately? Can I be fierce about this? Just to be able to stop and instead of catastrophizing what might happen, to say, I'm grateful, because to feel this vulnerable means I'm alive. Hello, thank you so much for being here and joining me today. I'm so excited to share with you some of the most pivotal lessons I've learned along my path that I would pay to have learned sooner. And some of these things I'm just guided by on the daily, and I don't really think about them now, but they have really shifted the way that I show up for the world. And I thought it would be so wonderful just to share some of the most impactful things I've learned along my path and that I literally integrate into my life, into my awareness every single day. So grab your journal, sit back, relax, and let us dive deep. I'm gonna just jump right into this. So when I first started my spiritual journey, I was really excited to embody my spirituality, and initially I thought that it meant wearing mala beads, wearing yoga clothes. Embodying spirituality is not about the clothes that you're wearing, but it's about the energy that you're carrying, being the physical embodiment of unconditional love for yourself and everything around you, and carrying the awareness of perfect oneness, which is what some of the ascended masters would call enlightenment. And we can all tap into this frequency when we step away from the stories we've been told, from our traumas as we begin to heal those, and from our karmas, the habits that we have that hold us back from reaching our fullest potential in this human life. And another one of my teachers on my path called this blind faith. This is just another way to put it, having tons of posters of your favorite yogis or ascended masters on your wall, but doing absolutely nothing to embody their characteristics. And he said that so many people get mixed up thinking that worshiping or showing devotion to someone is speaking their praises, but really it's about embodying those same characteristics that you admire in them and making them proud if they were on this earth plane with you now. And I really love that, because I realized I didn't have to prove my spirituality to anyone or do any of the things I saw the girls on Tumblr doing who were spiritual. I could just be myself, dress edgy, be queer, and being the light that I always wanted to see in the world. I've been feeling into this so much recently, that we can be the safe space that we always needed. And lately that has been my spiritual practice, is being the physical embodiment of all the love, all the healing, all the safety that I ever needed in this world, and sharing that with other people just by resting in it myself, and truly embodying whatever feels right for me, whether that is to dress a certain way, or to sing, or to shake my body, or to shake my booty, or just, I don't know, go into malasana pose in the middle of the kitchen. Whatever I need to do to clear my energy and keep that loving awareness, I do it, and I feel so much less concerned about proving it or making my spirituality make sense to anyone. And that is a lingering, echoing truth, that spirituality is 0% external and is all about the internal inward journey. And going along with that, presence is the most healing medicine. If you can be present, you can get through literally anything. And for me, my biggest anchor into presence is my breath. And whenever things start to get really chaotic in my mind, I've realized that the world is always just wild and crazy and unpredictable. And if I'm feeling that internally, it's not the world that is suddenly more crazy. It's actually just the chaos within my mind that needs to be sullied. And so I take a deep breath, I breathe into my heart, and I extend my exhale. No matter what pain you're going through, no matter what troubles or turbulence or aspects of your reality that you wish you could change, if you can just be present and witness the moment that you're in and step fully into it and own it, then you can start to move forward in that and see what you can do with the tools around you to shift your reality, and see what you can do in the moment to anchor more love in. And this has been a really helpful thing for me, especially healing my self-harm and a lot of the self-inflicted pain that I would cause myself, was being like, wow, I feel so shitty right now, But you know what? At the very least, I can just witness it. And in that witnessing, I would reclaim my power back, because a lot of the times my anxiety, my self-harm, my life-ending thoughts were stemming from fear of the future or of the past, and literally nothing that was present. A lot of it was also just trauma and PTSD that I was experiencing. But when I took that deep breath and I sat there crying with my heart racing and extended my exhale actively, intentionally, I started to realize everything is actually okay in this moment, and so I'm going to do the most good that I can right now. And I've implemented that more and more throughout my path. When something just doesn't feel good, it's like, wait, I can shift this. And being present is just the tool that helps you return your power back to yourself, no matter what you're going through. And it is the portal to all the potential and power that every single human being carries. I wrote here, wherever you find yourself, commit to it, step fully into it, and claim it. Claim the season of life that you're in so that you can move forward and fully gain the lesson that you need to gain from it, and not rushing that process. From this fully surrendered point, then you can start working with spirit, with God, with the universe, to really start conspiring what you really want. And truly, any area of dissonance or intense emotional waves that may come up are all teachers and are all just signs trying to communicate something to you, something that may not be in resonance, something that may not be serving you, a relationship or environment that needs shifting. Really cultivate the lessons from them so that you can bow down to them and leave that behind and step into your fullest embodiment. And I love just remembering that everything happening is on purpose, is here to bring us closer to spirit and to source, and to walking with the full trust and surrender that we are all worthy of. For most of my life, even as I started my spiritual journey, I was really good at bypassing my emotions, because this is another really good lesson. I thought I needed to be happy all the time, and I thought that meant I was doing a good job spiritually. I would hide how I was feeling a lot because I was so afraid to express to people how fucking sad and miserable I actually was. Throughout high school, throughout college, I remember the day that I graduated, I had the most life-ending thoughts. And I remember I graduated, I was at a dinner with my family and relatives, and I went to the bathroom and cried, I think 5 times, like sobbed and bawled my eyes out, because I felt so uncomfortable and so unsafe, and like I was about to move on to this next chapter of my life, and I had no resources, I had no one I felt like I could actually talk to, and I just wanted to die. And I felt so unsafe around my family, and that made me even more sad, that I saw everyone else enjoying their family and feeling like, oh, this is a moment of celebration, and I just felt so isolated and alone, and like I was just stuck in this glass case of emotion. And so I went to college, and I hit rock bottom when I had, I think, like 5 life-ending attempts in 1 week, and I fully hit rock bottom then and was like, okay, I need to be honest with myself. I cannot keep living like this. And I truly think that, I always say this, you should try to hit rock bottom as soon as possible. But if you can avoid it, don't hit rock bottom, and just learn to be fully surrendered to the lessons that are trying to teach you something. If I had acknowledged what I was feeling so much sooner, I wouldn't have spiraled for so many years and perpetuated these stories of pain and lack and trauma. The moment that I started to be honest and real with myself and present with everything that was lingering, even though it was mad uncomfortable, I started to heal. And that, I felt so empowered. My whole reality changed in that moment, where I was like, wow, the truth sets you free. Like, the things that they talk about in movies are so real, and all of these corny quotes actually just make sense. I feel like that's what adulthood feels like to me, is all of these corny sayings and quotes actually just being so real, and all the struggles people have with loving themselves and letting love in. I'm just like, this is life, isn't it? Presence is the portal to all that magic. And just to touch again on the you don't always have to be happy note, shadow work is so important. It's really important to show up exactly as you are every single day and feel so worthy, whether you're sad or indifferent or sleepy. You do not have to be this perfect shining light all the time, because your light is already naturally always shining, and there's so much wisdom in every single experience that you have, and owning that and claiming that is going to empower you further to learn the lesson sooner, and also just make space for everyone around you to feel safe in all of their embodiments as well, because we all have bad days, and it feels so good to be real about that, to just wake up and be like, yeah, I just feel really fucking sad today and I literally don't know why, but that's my day and I'm gonna make the most of it, you know? It's so painful and makes me feel tight to imagine lying about how I feel nowadays. You do not have to be happy all the time to be making progress on your journey, and in fact, sometimes going through that shadow work and through the muck and through the realization that maybe you have acted in ways that are dissonant from your spirit, or maybe you do have a lot of traumas that are affecting you a lot more deeply than you thought, you know, doing that work to bring awareness and light to those areas of your consciousness is so vital, and is, I think, really what the spiritual journey really offers you, is the opportunity to set yourself free from the things that you think you're liberating yourself from by repressing them. Does that make sense? Like, we think we're okay because we're keeping things down. The spiritual journey allows us to look at everything and go through them and then find true liberation, so that we can just be so light in this life. Be careful getting stuck doing the shadow work and getting stuck thinking that you have to suffer for your spirituality and constantly be processing things. There was a moment after I did therapy for about 3 months, and I really worked through a lot. Some days I was just crying the whole entire session, just sobbing, just wanting my therapist to hold me, but she would just sit there across the room just like not able to do that because I think that's illegal. But I had just a moment where I felt good, you know? I was like, okay, I don't have anger. I forgive the people who have hurt me. I feel light in my being, and my therapist wanted me to feel angry. I know she was trying to sway me in this way where I would go to sessions and just not have anything to say. It was like I had nothing left to process or complain about, and she was like, but aren't you upset at your mom or anyone for doing this? And she would just be like, I'll just wait. I'm sure something will come up, as almost as if she was like waiting for me to complain about something. And I was like, you know, I actually think I want to leave that story behind. I realized that I can just let the light in, and I don't have to carry that story with me all the time. And I really started to feel like everything that happened to me happened for me, and was just a happening, was just a story that I could continue telling myself, aka continue perpetuating, or I could just witness it as it was and feel so excited for the story that I was writing in the present moment. And so when the time comes, please let yourself bask in the light. Just throw your head back, enjoy, let the sunlight touch your heart and your skin, and let it embrace you, and be in that moment as if it's the only one that exists. Let the light in when it's time. And this can also take time if you struggled with mental illness for a while. It's a process. Healing is not linear, and neither is just letting that light and joy and love back into your life. And so some days you might want to cast it away, or it'll feel uncomfortable to feel so safe, or it'll feel uncomfortable that there isn't some life-threatening thing happening to you, especially if you've struggled with abuse or abusive relationships. The calmness, the safety can feel unsafe because you're so used to that chaos. But really, at a certain point, if you feel like you're not gaining anything by going back to the stories and the traumas that have happened to you, that's a really good sign that it's just time to release it and let it go. If you've taken all the lessons and really realized why that event was purposeful in your life, then there's really no reason to go back and continue rehashing it or telling it. And I practice this in my daily life too. It's like, if I find myself complaining about something over and over again and I'm not making an effort to change it, I hold myself accountable, and I'm like, wait, let me empower myself, take an action, and then liberate myself from this story that's happening to me, because I don't want to complain about my life. I'm all about integration, which is really taking steps forward with the lessons you've learned from past experiences. So take the lessons. Maybe it's to cut out toxic people from your life, to speak your boundaries. Take the lesson and then leave the story behind when it's time, because you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to explore what's resonant with you. You do not have to dogmatically practice one certain form of healing. In fact, it might even do you a disservice to choose one thing and only practice that lineage. Allow yourself to be open to the lessons and miracles trying to find their way to you. Maybe ecstatic dance really resonates with you, but so does yoga, and so does chanting, and so does sound healing. Immerse yourself in all of it and really be guided by your resonance. There's full spectrum healing that can take place at the level of the mind, the body, the energy body, your ancestry, your lineage. There's it goes deep, and only choosing one thing might end up just blocking you from all the different forms of healing that may be really beneficial to you. And there is no one absolute path to enlightenment, although you can follow certain teachers that you really resonate with. Their path, their karmas, and what they came here on this earth to unpack is going to be so different from yours. In my experience, when I have dogmatically practiced something, I have felt like I wasn't getting the medicine that I needed, and then it would make me not want to do my spiritual practices. It would make me not want to show up for my mat. It's like your mind is trying to control the way that your spirit and conscious energy connects to its purest source, and that just doesn't really work out. I also think at the same time it is important to learn about lineages and honor the practices, learn about the history, where these practices originated and how it affected the culture, the people, how it was passed down from teacher to student for thousands of years, because you can go so much deeper. And this also allows you to humble yourself a little bit. These are ancient practices that are so sacred and are not to be used to feed an ego or as a badge of honor. It's really just a methodology of healing. Some of the most masterful yogis, they devoted their whole lives to it. So doing one teacher training, or even me, I feel like I've been practicing yoga for almost 10 years. I still know that I am just touching and scraping the very edge of what I could experience with yoga, and that I will devote myself to this practice for the rest of my life and still maybe not even know what yoga really is. And I think it's just important to have reverence for the teachers and the original branches of these lineages that you might be practicing. You do not need a guru. A guru is a spiritual teacher, especially one who imparts initiation. And so a guru can be anyone in your life, and I almost like to think of everyone as God in disguise and everyone as a teacher. You can go really deep with your own awareness, with your own breath, and with all the teachers already in your life. Like the people that trigger you are some of your biggest teachers as well. And I wrote, nature can be your guru, your breath can be your teacher. You can go your whole life's journey, this is another thing, and never be called to the medicine, and that's okay. I'm referring to plant medicine here. Another thing that I started to see a lot on YouTube and when I was doing research on spirituality and just throughout my life is that a lot of people go on medicine journeys, and that's when they have their awakening. And for me, I was really intrigued by that, but just so nervous and so like, do I need that to feel? I already feel all the things you're feeling. I understand all the things that you're saying, and I haven't experienced that medicine, so maybe I just don't need it. And the more that I've gone on my path, the more clear it has been for me that I just don't feel called to the medicine. I was sitting with this shaman one day, and she told me that some people are never called, and that is something they should listen to and honor, and that's totally okay. And I was so happy to have that affirmed to me, because I feel like I'm that person that may never sit with ayahuasca or do a huge mushroom journey or whatever other plant medicines are available. And that is part of my dharma. And I was sitting in this cave meditating and doing breath work, and I felt this cosmic portal channel open up, and I heard that exact message again. This was actually before I talked to that shaman, and it was just saying that this is your path, this is your way of returning home, and the way that you're meant to share your spiritual practices is through your breath, is through your physical embodiment, and through just using the sober mind, because this is a tool, like all the wisdom of our body and breath is a tool that we always have access to. And Spirit was telling me that I'm meant to teach people how they can go deeper with what they already have available to them in the moment. And that felt really affirming. These are sacred plant medicines that indigenous people have been using for years and should be respected. That's just a note on that. I always felt like, is there something wrong with me that I just haven't done that kind of stuff? But I feel really good just being grounded in my body. And I've actually been diving into more cosmic breath work and more fiery breath work, where I feel like most of my journey I've been doing really grounding, healing practices, balancing to my nervous system, and have felt like extremely sensitive to disassociation when doing intense breath work, almost feeling like I blast out of my body and I just need to find myself again, and not fully enjoying that or feeling safe in that. And lately, because I've just felt so grounded, I'm like, maybe I can dabble in more intense breath work practices. And for me, that is a cosmic experience. This next lesson was a really hard one to learn, I feel like, but as I started to go on my journey and see the world in such a different way, I wanted everyone else to see the world like I did, and I didn't realize how troubling and how much inner tension and turmoil this can cause when you think that your way of viewing the world is correct, or you just wish people could see things and have more ease in their body and see the oneness. And that is so valid to want that, to want everyone's heart to feel soft and understanding and empathetic, conscious witnessing energy being yielded at all times. It can be really tricky when you try to project that onto other people. You can only show people the door. They have to enter on their own if they even choose to do so. And a way that you can keep yourself energetically safe as you start to evolve and shift on your journey, and you're surrounded by other people who may not be fully seeing you, love them and meet them where they're at. Use your presence and everything that you've learned to find a common ground for both of you to meet and feel that unconditional love. Because I feel like when you awaken, you almost start to feel like your world and your version of this existence is more real than other people's. Everyone else's world and worldview reality feels just as real to them, because that's the depth of realness that they know. Does that make sense? When you go on your journey, it feels realer than real. It feels so much deeper than the experience of life than you may have had before. And then you see other people knowing that they're maybe not reaching that level of depth, and that doesn't change their experience or make it any less valid. And I don't think there's any point in trying to force someone else into an experience that they just have to find on their own. And what can save you a lot of stress is just sending them love and meeting them in a place that is real for both of you. And it's really just about the frequency you're carrying. So if you're forcing your agenda on someone else, or feeling that someone else is wrong for their valid feelings, that's not actually the frequency that you're trying to bring them to. That unconditionally loving frequency is what will bring them to more unconditional love, not the "you're wrong, why are you seeing it this way" state of mind. I feel like I'm a very wordy person, and sometimes I say things in ways that use so many words that could maybe be simplified, but that's just the way I communicate. And that's okay for now. I'm just kind of thinking of things on the top of my head. You are not wrong for having your own needs and desires, especially if they're different from someone else's. You do not have to mold yourself to fit into anyone else's idea or perception of you, because you're a sovereign being, and your desires, your thoughts, your fears, your feelings are all so valid. And if anyone can't see that or repeatedly makes you feel unsafe, you are allowed to leave. And there's nothing wrong with wanting people in your life who feel safe, who are on their own devotional paths. This is something I've kind of been hard on myself about, because I want to extend this unconditional love and compassion to all beings, but I started to realize how energetically depleting it was to do things for other people just because I wanted to be a good person, because the energy I was carrying while I was doing those good deeds or helping friends out was actually just resentment and depletion. And when I started to do things that felt in resonance because I genuinely wanted to do them, that felt way more unconditionally loving, because I was honoring all people in the situation, including myself. And so you are not a bad person if you want other people to respect you and treat you well and be able to show up for you and see you just as much as you see them. I'm someone who is very devoted and committed to the things that I need to do to make myself feel good, mostly because a lot of the practices that I've learned were born out of necessity from my intense struggles with my mental health. And so it's like a daily practice for me. And instead of taking medicine, it's like I need to take my daily meditation. I need to do my daily asana. And it feels really safe for me when I have other people who are grounded in whatever their practices may be, even if it's completely different from mine, even if it's not even spiritual. It's like I just feel like I need stable people in my life who aren't going to be emotionally reacting out of their ego or gaslighting me or manipulating me. And these are kind of just basic things that everyone needs, but I just always thought that it was my role to help hold space for people no matter what they were going through, even if it was hurting me. And I realized that that's not the case. For a while, I wasn't able to allow myself to see that taking care of myself is valid work and that it is of benefit to all beings everywhere. But I really started to realize this when I would neglect my practices or my emotional state, and I would fall into deep states of depression and literally not be able to do anything, not be able to birth any creations, not be able to be nice to the person at the coffee shop, not be able to offer a smile because that's how depleted and sad I was. And I was like, wow, I can be the light. I will be the light, and I have to be the light for myself first. So truly, the depth at which you show up for yourself is the depth at which you can show up for others. And breathe that in. Just really know that being kind to yourself is being kind to those around you, and you are so valid and worthy of taking up space and prioritizing what you need to do to fill up your cup. This is your one human life, and the only thing you can really control is the evolution of your consciousness. So those are just some lessons that I wanted to share that have been so pivotal, and there's probably so many more that I'll remember and think of after I film this. If there are any other pivotal lessons you've learned, I would absolutely love it if you left them in the comments down below. We can all learn from each other. We all have light codes to share with one another. And I also think I'm going to leave some affirmations down below. Thank you so much for being with me here in this now, on this journey, for rising every single day and just showing up. You are so worthy just as you are. Thank you for being here with me, and I'll see you in a video soon, I hope. Bye!